Yeah, that's fair though. But that's San Diego, not like LA.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I mean, honestly, you like it's like a wall. Like if you're driving south on the 5 or the 15,
God,
as soon as you hit like Oceanside or even like a little further down, it just like opens up. Like
dude,
God blesses San Diego way
freaking
more than the rest of California.
five highway sucks.
Yeah, the I-5 is bullshit.
Oh
I
my.
know that, and I've never even lived in California.
I remember leaving LA to go to San Diego, and it was like 45 miles or some shit, and it took us 2.5 hours to get there. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm never coming back to this state.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I would love to, hightail it out of here, but
I feel you.
Well, at least when you do, you'll have the money to because everywhere else is cheaper.
that's true. I mean, that's the dream, right? Build a business and then get the heck out of here.
Where is the
There you
dream?
go.
Where are you headed? Where would you like to go?
Anywhere but here. No, I'm just kidding. No, I think for a little while, my wife and I talked about Florida because we have some friends that live there. But
Similar
I think
climate.
I don't think that she really likes Florida all that much.
Oh,
No income tax.
So yeah, I know. So I'm not
I've
really
never
sure.
never been. Well,
Oh
that's
no?
not true. I've been to Disney World, but that's not like Florida. So,
No, that's
Yeah,
hell. That's
no,
hell on
that's
earth. What are you talking?
dude, I was all expenses paid, all inclusive. I didn't have to do shit. It was pretty dope.
That's nice.
Yeah,
yeah, that
I
is
didn't,
nice.
I didn't complain.
I wouldn't either. Shoot. Last time I went to Florida, I had to pay my own way.
Right.
That's fair.
That's why you date the rich girls, man.
I mean, I do have my sugar mama. I can't complain.
There you go. We're gonna start this thing, Nathan.
Oh, it's already started, Tommy. Welcome
Oh,
to the Irrelevant Podcast, episode
motherfucker, sneaky.
number 45. Well, I like the intro conversations. I like people just being comfortable.
Well, before you were so worried about us having a fucking intro that
Well, it's
got
just
used to it. Now 45 episodes in, you're like,
it's subtle
let's just
now.
let's
Yeah.
spring it on them.
Just some people are like they get tense and they're like, I don't want to. I don't. Oh God, we're starting the episode. So, Tommy, welcome to the Relevant Podcast. Thank you for joining us today. Go ahead and just give a little short, brief, who the heck you are and what the heck you do and why the heck you came on the podcast.
I mean, honestly, who knows to any of those questions, really? But no, yeah. So, like you said, I'm Tommy. Obviously, I I own and operate my own business with a business partner of mine. Uh, that Alex, you've met when we were in Westside, I think. Mark, I think you should probably have him if you're looking for suggestions on the podcast. He'd probably be a better guest than I am.
You
But
think?
yeah, I think so.
I think I'm
But
biased because he's an ollie lifter. So
which I appreciate that, and I'm sure I probably would have to have twisted your arm to get him on, but
He's out. He didn't make
you're
the
not gonna
probably
cut.
be
twist
worth
my
it.
arm. I talk to you more frequently. That's all.
No, he didn't make the
Yeah,
cut.
I don't
No.
blame you. No, I don't blame you on any of that. But if you're open to suggestions, anyways. No, yeah. So
We'll get him on here because
but
I'm sure Mark will hear the first 5 minutes of this. So don't worry, Mark. You'll get your invitation.
yeah. Yeah, I'm sure after hearing this, he'll probably be at least semi excited, but we'll see. But anyways, yeah. So I own and operate the bunker with him. We've been in business now. Finishing up year two, which is exciting. I've been coaching for the better part of 10 years, in some capacity. Um, I'm married, have a kid who's going to turn 2 in March, so that's exciting. And I mean, that's really it. I think I'm kind of boring, but I was happy to jump on the podcast with you guys. I heard some episodes, saw some of the guests that you guys have. I mean, you guys have had some heavy hitters on, which is really exciting for you. So I was like, shoot, man, I can't turn this opportunity down for sure.
Well, he just called this an opportunity, Alex. I don't know. He knows what he came on.
What are you talking about,
Oh,
dude?
I
It's
know
on the
Alex.
interwebs forever. Yeah, me
I
and
was
Tommy
saying,
got
I
to
know
meet in
Alex, man.
Houston. Good old. He was the first conjugate person first person I met at a conjugate tactical seminar. Technically,
Yeah,
'cause
yeah,
the
that
previous
Friday
conjugate tactical thing
lifting
I did was
session.
not. That lifting session. That was good times.
So wait, did you guys met at two, or like you met at one that you didn't count, and then you met at another one, or you just met at this one?
No, there was technically my second conjugate tactical thing, but it was the first time going to the course.
Gotcha. Okay, I'm with you now.
Why's your camera suck balls, dude?
I don't know.
What's
That's
going
what
on?
I'm trying to figure out. I don't know if it's the lighting or what's up.
It never works well in that room for some reason. It's
Yeah.
always blocking you out.
I don't know.
Nothing. Oh, there you go. Now you came into focus.
It's a little better. I don't know. Anyway, so Tommy, do you
Tommy-
train? You train normal? Are you just you train a lot of the tactical side of things, or do you just kind of are you just trying to get as many certifications as you can through Westside to try to help as many people as you can, or kind of what's your niche area of people that you like to train?
Yeah, I'm totally the certification guy that just wants to have as many letters as possible. No, I'm kidding. No, I actually I primarily what I focus on is powerlifting currently. So more on the strength sports side. My background is collegiate strength and conditioning. I kind of fell into the powerlifting world, and then through Westside, just kind of figured out that they had the tactical, division or whatever you want to call it, and then started just reaching out to Jason and kind of messaging back and forth, and then it turned into this. So eventually, the goal is to take the bunker into a more of a tactical space and focus primarily on that and get a little bit more away from the strength sports. I mean, not totally abandon it, but currently I have a couple tactical athletes, and then like 90% of what I do is powerlifting, competitive powerlifting.
Gotcha. Okay.
Real question is, Tommy, when are you going to step on the platform?
Dude, again, I don't know. I mean, I did back in August and it was absolutely horrible. So I don't know. I'll probably do it in August again.
Why was it horrible?
Well, so I hit my first squat and it was fine, and then dropped into my second squat and my quad popped and I thought I tore it at the bottom. Luckily, it wasn't a quad. Luckily, it wasn't like a muscle tear. Like there were a couple minor ones, but it was just fascia. So I got super lucky. I was like, dude, I like had to be carried off the platform. Luckily, I finished. I was able to token the meet just to at least get a total. It's abysmal. You can look it up on Open Powerlifting. But
It's probably not as bad as mine, but that's okay.
I don't know, man. I went from a 500 opener on deadlifts to like 265.
All right, maybe I have you beat then.
Tough day. Tough day.
You
Tough
probably
day.
do. Yeah, I'm like at the bottom of the list for the guys.
I mean, I'm like one or two above that, I feel like. Although, here's a funny story. The owner of the gym the other day is doing like a consultation with this guy, right? And this guy's like, yeah, I used to compete in competitive powerlifting. I lift like 4 hours a day, blah, blah, blah. He's like, yeah, did that for like 3 or 4 years and got up to a 1,200 total. I just went, what the fuck did you just say? You spent 4 hours a day for multiple years and you only got to 1,200?
Oof.
Just like, ooh, I was just like trying not to laugh.
Oof.
But, I guess not everyone's gifted. I don't know.
1,200.
No. Yeesh.
All
That's
right.
kind of rough, huh?
I've done nothing, and I think I have a 1,200.
I just remember like in high school, we had a 1,200-pound club for squat, bench, and deadlift. So I was like, you hit that as a grown adult, like in your early 20s, spending countless hours at the gym. Like, I think something went wrong.
How big was he?
200 pounds.
Oh yeah, that's kind of sad.
Hmm.
I have like a 165er that's trying to get like a 1,400 total.
Yeah, they're stronger than me almost. Yeah.
That's impressive.
One thing I thought is
he's like an ant.
interesting, even Hoff was talking about this on the last table talk, is like there's a lot of stuff you can do in the gym, but doing it in competition is a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, no, 100%. There's a guy there's a guy who we're like acquaintances at meets. He posted about that recently too. He's like, you might be stronger in the gym, but I'm a better power lifter because I'm smarter at competition. Right? It's like just because you hit it in the gym doesn't mean anything when it comes to the platform. It's a whole different ballgame.
That's
No,
sweet.
those
Sweet.
judges will throw you off real quick.
Yeah. No, for sure. Well, and then trying to go out and have like an actual legitimate third attempt on squat, bench, and deadlift in like an 8-hour time frame is, a feat of its own.
My hips were wrecked at the last one that I did. By the time
I
I got
believe
to
you.
deadlifts, I was like warming up and I'm like, ooh, hips are a little smoked, so this should be fun.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, it can creep up on you for sure. And so then you take that and then you look at what the guys are lifting that are like in the IPF or, I like the American Pro and all that stuff. And it's just like, it brings a whole new light.
Yeah, those guys are super freaks.
Levels.
And every one of them will tell you that they're not gifted.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, 100%. 100%. We actually, at one of the gyms that I coach out of, one of the guys, unfortunately, he bombed out at the American Pro, but I mean, he consistently will hit like an 800 plus squat, like all the time. Yeah, he's a freak.
But can't do it on the platform.
Yeah, no, honestly, he probably opened up too heavy when he was at the American Pro. He was trying to open up at 904
Oh my.
and just couldn't get depth. I mean, he hit, I mean, you hit openers at some point in prep. And so a couple weeks prior, he had hit an opener. He had hit the 904 opener. I didn't see it, but one of my athletes was there watching it and said that it looked kind of rough, but it should have gotten whites. And then, like you said, Alex, once you go to the platform, it's a little different. But his best in comp is like 865.
Oh wow.
You got to know what you can do. Like Dave Hoff was talking about his lead up to the WPO. He's like, yeah, I hit 900 on deads early on. He's like, meet day, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Like
rough.
like I haven't obviously competed, but like you'll wake up and you'll kind of know, or is it kind of take you like that first lift to kind of know what kind of day it's going to be? I mean, if you know your
Depends
body
on
well
how the
enough,
judges are.
really.
Literally all depends on those motherfuckers.
You're
Well,
not wrong.
they're the ones that hold your fate.
Right. Yeah. True.
And then I don't know. I got lucky learning the fifth set stuff because I don't have issues picking openers and missing them or progressing from openers to PRs because Sweet already lays that all out for you. But I didn't realize that was like, hard to come by for a lot of people, but I see it all the time at meets. It's just
Oh yeah.
people all over the place.
That's just an ego thing, like people just trying to like, yeah, I'll just open with this, or is it something they genuinely feel like they can hit, or what goes wrong in meet day? Do you see that with your athletes, Tommy?
Yeah. Well, so I mean, I control everything that they do. I mean, it's a two-way street, obviously.
Sure.
Like we'll have conversations, but for the most part, like I'll pick openers and then kind of have a plan, and I'll talk to them about it if they feel good about it or not, depending upon what the goal of the meet is. Um, I've had guys a couple times come up to me and ask to actually drop openers, depending how they feel waking up that day. But I've also handled athletes that are not actually like my athlete, outside of like prepping or a meet or whatever, and they just open way too heavy. They open way too heavy. It's kind of like, hey, I want to hit this, and I've hit this in the gym, and it's like, all right, well, it's your me. You're not really, one of my athletes. I'll advise you otherwise, but if this is what you want to do, then we'll try to figure it out and get you there. But I've seen guys open up just way too heavy, consistently, and they just go out and have a piss poor performance. And that's a meet director that we're really good friends with. He says that all the time when he does the rules meeting, right? So it's like you have rules at 8, lifting starts at 9 typically for most meets, and when he goes through the rules meeting, he's like, no, this is squat, bench, deadlift, blah blah blah, and he's like, the last thing he says is, drop your openers. If there's anything you're going to do today, especially if it's your first meet, make sure that you drop your opener, hit something that you can hit, and then you can take whatever jump you want on the second. And I actually just met, we had a meet last Sunday, and I met a kid there who didn't have a handler, didn't have a coach. He just needed help. And so I jumped in to help him. And his openers were like 70% of his 1 rep maxes. And it was not on purpose. He was like, I just kind of picked numbers that I knew I could do easily without equipment, and he just went out and smoked it, and then took like a 50-pound jump to his second attempt just because that's how low it was. You know what I mean? I was like, shoot, this kid doesn't know what he's doing. He's smarter than like 80% of the guys that I run into.
Especially, yeah,
What-
that first competition. It's like,
What's your method to the madness of finding openers?
Usually it's a hard like 89 to 91%, because we train, I mean, with conjugate specifically, like pretty much everybody I have trains conjugate, and we're basically pushing 1 rep maxes at least twice a week, right? And so we have an idea as far as what they can and can't do on a given day. And usually what I'll have them try to shoot for at a minimum is 90% of whatever their competition lift is for that max effort variation, unless it's something ridiculous, right? Like a search or freaking box squat or whatever, which we really don't do those anyways. But if it's, a competition similar variation for like a max effort lower, then the goal is to hit 90% of whatever their competition squat is, and then take it from there if they can hit a little bit heavier. But we have an idea. I usually have an idea of like what that looks like. And we test maxes not like super often, but at least consistently enough to where we know what that 90% will look like on a given day. And my philosophy is that they should be able to hit 90% any day of the week. And pretty much 100% of them can do that at any point in time, whether they're feeling absolutely horrible or they're, on their best day in the gym. They can hit 90% pretty consistently. So that's usually what we open up at typically.
Do you tell them on those squats to fucking sink the first one so they give them the benefit of the doubt following?
Yeah. Yeah. See, the problem with that though is that there's like this nuance, right? Like to your point, judges are not all the same. And as objective as they try to make it in the rule book, subjectively they still kind of treat it differently. You know what I mean? And so the same meet just, a week ago or whatever it was, those judges were harsher than they were at the meet that we were at in October. And a couple of them were the same ones. Like, you go to enough competitions and you kind of know that the same reps are going to be at like every single one. But I don't know if it was just the day or if everybody was just sinking squats more than normal. But that first squat usually sets that precedent for how the rest of your attempts are going to go, And so usually what we try to do is dial it in for a powerlifting squat, not necessarily like a, in the hole, get your cheeks to your heels type squat all the time. Because a lot of my guys honestly can't even do that anyways because their mobility is just so poor. But if we open up and we do sync that, then the other side of that coin is, well, now they're expecting that every single time, right? And if I'm pushing
they
a
don't
third
really
attempt,
remember.
I
That's
don't
what I
know,
mean.
man.
So like if
You'd
you
be
have a
surprised.
questionable one and you've sunk the first two, odds are they're probably going to favor you on the third one if they're on the fence about it.
Probably I know a lot of people in the USPA and they're probably going to be flack for this if they hear this, but probably in WRPF that's probably true. In USPA, once your standard is pretty set, then I would say 9 times out of 10 they're probably going to just stick to that standard. And if you squat higher than your previous attempt, you're probably going to get reds.
Well, I'm glad I'll never have to find out, so that'll be good.
Just stick to WRPF or whatever federation you feel comfortable in and you're good to go.
Ones without child molesters are usually the ones I try to stick to.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oof.
That might be a topic for another time. Off air conversation.
I mean, I'll talk about it on air because that's what they allegedly did in other, I don't know what states it was, but like they didn't do anything about it. So fuck those people.
Yeah.
Pretty simple.
Ohio, Carolina, all kinds of stuff.
But yeah, here we only have there's USPA meets here, but they're down in the Springs and I'm not going to drive 2 hours for fucking powerlifting meet.
Yeah. No,
although I am going to drive to Utah for one. So I don't know what I'm talking about there. I just don't want to do USPA.
Mean, we've had guys fly to Texas to compete. So, I flew a guy to Georgia and he ended up bombing out. I mean, it's, it's kind of how far you want to take it. He's rough. Probably, so he is my strongest athlete. So at the time it made sense and we were trying to qualify, but hindsight, it was probably a dumb move to do that.
That's what I'm doing. I got to go do regionals to qualify for nationals because I'm not strong enough.
Yeah, we're running into the same issue. The plan was to do nationals, WRPF nationals next year, but only 2 of my guys can have a DOTS outside of regionals that actually qualifies. And so the plan is to just have the majority of the team do USPA nationals again because we had a really terrible week in Vegas that whole week. I had 3 bomb outs out of the 6 athletes that I took. So yeah, it was kind of a rough week. I mean, we had some really not normal factors leading into the meet, but those are just excuses. But yeah, so I'll probably take 1 or 2 athletes to WRPF nationals in September, and then we'll have like 4 or 5 at USPA in June.
Allegedly in 25, they're going to be here.
Oh yeah, for who? For WRPF or USPA?
Yeah, WRPF. Allegedly.
That's interesting since Micah and Fighter Quit are in Vegas.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I don't know. I thought it was in Vegas all the time. That's why I was like, sweet, I'm going to qualify for regional, so I have another reason to go back to Vegas.
I mean, I don't blame you, but
Me and Nathan are going in March, so it's gonna be a good time.
First time. Never been to Vegas
nice.
before. Should be interesting.
Never been.
No, never been to Vegas.
Oh man, dude, that first night we're gonna have a hell of a time since we
I
don't
was
have
gonna
anything
say,
to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Alex, be nice. Don't go too off the reservation the first night. He's not gonna want to go back, or he might want to stay there. I don't know.
It's gonna be the hangover. I'm gonna wind up on a.
I just can't wait to see that fucking sphere. That thing's gonna be dope.
It was pretty cool when we were there in June or July, whatever it was. Yeah, it was pretty dope. One of my guys was staying, or most of my guys were staying at the Flamingo because that's where the event was at.
Oh, really?
And they
That's
had,
where I like to stay. It's cheap as fuck. It's great there. Great
yeah,
location.
no, I mean,
fucking cheap rooms.
we can't complain,
Yeah.
So it was kind of nice.
Everything's just a little pink, but
but
got a little mafioso background, so that's always cool.
Well, and isn't that the interesting thing though, that like you pick a pink freaking hotel for everything, but you're like a mobster back in the 50s? Like, how does that make sense?
I don't know, man. They just
throws them off.
hiding in plain sight, I guess.
Throws everybody
That's
off.
true.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's a good point. I mean, I don't know about hiding, because didn't he end up like getting arrested and die or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't go so well for him,
Allegedly.
Allegedly. Yeah, sorry.
Depends on what movie you watch.
Exactly. Yep.
But yeah, Vegas is cool. So, how many powerlifters do you coach total?
Not enough, but
That's fair. Yeah, but that's because they're cheap. That's the biggest problem I found with powerlifters. I help the fucking college kids, and they're too cheap to pay $25 a month for programming. Like, I can't help you then.
Yeah, it's a weird like niche to be in, and that's not that I hate it, but it does kind of create some roadblocks. We've been lucky enough to have people that are bought in enough and understand the value that we provide to actually, sign up and be here for a while.
Does it just play into the like we're tougher and rougher and grindier than everyone, and we just figure it out on our own? Or what? Why is that? Why are powerlifters?
I think they're just poor.
Yeah, most of the time.
Really,
that's
all
what
I think
it
it
comes
is.
down to
I just think they're poor.
It's fair.
Yeah, 100%.
Like the barrier to entry is not that much. Your first meet's like $600 because you have to buy all the gear, but then after that, it's only like $100 a time.
Yeah, especially if it's like local and you don't have to stay at a hotel or anything.
Right.
Sure. What you said? You said you had some existential, or however you said that, circumstances on your bombs, but you don't make excuses, which I like. Good for you for not making excuses for your guys. But like, what? I'm just kind of curious. Like, what happened, or was it just like travel things, or sickness things, or what did you feel like? Something different in the prep, maybe, or how did you feel? What happened?
Nathan. Too many strippers.
Cocaine the night before. Cocaine.
Hey, I mean, what they do when they're not with me, I can't control all the time, right?
What happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
I know, it's like a recipe for disaster. Like, why they would want to have a high level event there is beyond me.
Oh, I'm a Raiders fan. Trust me. I'm tired of all these young rookie guys getting DWIs and crashing cars into people. And it's just like, God bless. We're never going to be good. Anyway, I'm sorry.
That's the worst place to be as a professional athlete. Millions of dollars, and let's just go out and throw it all away because we can. No, yeah. So we had bomb outs the first 3 days. So it really set up a great week for us because by day 4, I'm like, dude, why am I even here? I'm like, I just want to go home. So we had one of my girls competed on Monday, and she typically sits right around her weight and doesn't usually have weight issues. But for whatever reason, leading into prep, she was like, she just couldn't get back down. She like blew up a little bit, and we're having issues. And so we ended up having to do carb cycling in a small water cut leading into the meet, which her background's in physique and bodybuilding, so she understands like the deficit, but she's never had to like move weight at a deficit, right? Like being on stage and posing is completely different than trying to hit 100% or 105%.
I ran into the same thing at my meet.
Yeah, so
I think that was a rude awakening.
Yeah, well, and that's how it is for most people, right? So our team just doesn't water cut, but unless it's nationals or a record, right? Like then it makes sense to do. And there was no way, like if she ended up weighing in heavier, she was going to be a guest lifter. She wouldn't have had a chance to podium. So there was no way around it. We kind of had to do what we had to do. And so she had taken really well to carb cycling. We kind of finished out on like a really short, honestly, like a 5-day water cut. It wasn't even like an 8 or 11 day or whatever it is that most guys do. Because the carb cycling went really well. We just had like a kilo to go really to kind of shed. And so she felt good going in, but I think it was Trevor Jaffe that said, a 2% dehydration, which is kind of standard dehydration, could result in up to 14% in a strength deficit, which is crazy. And so I think that's more what it was. And the reason I don't give an excuse on that one either is because I made a bad call on her squat. We had a plan to hit a pretty good third attempt. Her first one got called for depth, and she squats in wraps, so she's classic. And so this was like her third meet or second meet in class in wraps also. So there's a lot of acclimation for her too in like a 6-month time frame. But I made a bad call and she got reds on her opener. We should have just repeated it, but it was nationals. I'm like, dude, we're not gonna we're gonna leave it all out here. If this is gonna go, we're gonna go. And she ended up missing her second and third after going up, and that's where she bombed out. She still signed up for individual bench, like bench only and deadlift only. So she ended up medaling there too, or both of those at least. So we didn't go home with nothing. But yeah, that one was kind of a tough one because I knew she was ready and we had a really good prep and she was hitting just crazy numbers in prep and then it just kind of fell flat. The other two, one of the guys, he had a lot of like family issues come up in prep, and then his car broke down like a week before we were supposed to go to Vegas. And Vegas is only a couple hours for us, so everybody was just going to drive out. And to go from like, all right, cool, like everything's going fine, to my car broke down, I'm having to deal with family stuff at home, and I'm also having to like drive out there. And he also needs to kind of shed a couple kilos before we get on to the scale too. And so just kind of all those factors, I think, just kind of mess with his head. Um, and then our third bomb out, I think it was just being on that big stage because you're going from a local meet in like a warehouse gym to a huge ballroom with 3 platforms, lights everywhere. There's, like 150 plus people, probably 250 people, honestly, every single day that are attending. And it was the first time too that his dad was watching him compete. So it's like all these new factors and all these like big stage moments, I think just got to him by the time bench was done and we were at the rest, like the break between bench and deadlift, he was like literally like shaking, like he couldn't like control himself. The adrenaline was just so high. I told him, we kept trying to like calm him down. He was I think he was dehydrated too. He's like peeing a lot, which was also not normal for meet day for him. So we're trying to like pump him full of electrolytes. He's like trying to hold like one of those Crystal Geyser water bottles and pour an electrolyte packet in, and he's like shaking his hand so bad. I had to do it for him. So by the time he actually got to the platform to try to pull his opening deadlift, he was done. There was no way he was gonna pull it. So it was just
Smoked,
a
huh?
rough week. Yeah.
Do you encourage your lifters to sit by themselves and not fucking talk to anybody during the meet?
It honestly depends on their personality type because I have a really wide range of guys who almost every single one has some kind of athletic background. And so I do have a couple of guys that need to sit on their own and they need to be kind of just into themselves and in their own head. But then I have a couple other guys that are just like clowns on meet day. They're out there joking around. They're, kind of messing with other guys. They're calling people out that they know that they're competing against, and they just like don't stop. You know what I mean? Like they're just getting after it. So it really depends because I also like there's the idea that you go and hit your attempt and then you sit down and don't do anything, right, until your next attempt. But that also on the mental side will mess with a couple of those guys that need to be kind of moving around and like joking around with people. So I usually try to find a balance with the ones that need that, where if it's not our flight, then you're like sitting down and hanging out. But if it's your flight, then yeah, we can kind of get hyped and do what we need to do so that way you can go and hit your numbers. But for the most part, I would say like 80% of the competitors usually they'll sit down and kind of just be there. Whether they need music or not is up to them. They kind of switch back and forth. But yeah, it just depends.
Is there any
I've just
way?
found the socializing to be exhausting. Like if you get caught up in all these conversations and stuff, and you're like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be here to do something.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's like that's how I am too. Like, I mean, like if I'm training, it's a little different. But if it's competition, I need to be a little locked in. I can kind of turn it on and turn it off when I need to. But like I have one guy, he's been with me for since 2020. He's one of like my OGs, and it's just kind of his. That's just who he is. His personality type and just his nature is to go and like kind of dick around, mess with some people if they're around, kind of be joking and kind of be loose. Because then when he does, then when it is like his turn to go lift, he knows how to kind of flip that switch, just from playing football and baseball and kind of doing the thing with those sports. But yeah, for me. I'm like I could talk to you, but I'm like, dude, I'm here to do something. I can't
It's
just
a
chill at
marathon. It's an
home.
all-day event. You do that all day long. That shit adds up as energy-wise. I don't think people realize that. Like being in a new place creates a new stimulus, and your brain has to work harder, and like all these things that are robbing people of energy. And then most people don't fucking eat right while they're at the meet. Like that's one thing I've noticed is like hardly anybody understands nutrition.
All the candy is going to make me deadlift the most weight, right?
Right.
Make you crash really
Yeah,
hard. Have fun with that one. Oh man.
Ironically, these
yeah.
pancakes I make worked out fucking perfectly for me. A little bit of protein, a lot of carbs, fucking low in fat. Tastes good.
I mean, that's perfect. Yeah, I've had to have conversations with a lot of my guys because I think it was our first meet ever. I had two athletes that went out and stocked like a suitcase full of like snacks and candy and stuff. And I was like, yeah, we should not do that
Good luck.
again. Yeah. And that's what we ended up finding, right? Like you can get so far just on just whatever you're doing, right? But once you actually get into the thick of it, you've been doing it for a while, your body tells us whether you're actually going to be good at this sport or not. Then we kind of have to start dialing those external factors in, right? Nutrition, sleep, hydration, all those things that matter, which a lot of I mean, Alex, to your point, a lot of people do take that for granted, or they just don't know, or they don't care. That's the other thing too
Right.
that I'll see is they're like, this is what people do, right? They snack on gummy bears and freaking pound Gatorade for 8 hours, right? Isn't that what we do? I'm like, have you seen how old school powerlifters used to do it? I mean, in between like squat and bench, they'd be like chowing on burgers
Yeah.
and getting, like you said, like protein, fats, having carbs in there, slowing down that carbohydrate burn, not necessarily speeding it up. By the time you get to deadlifts, everybody's so wrecked.
Right. I noticed that at the meet I did. It's well, and then everyone thinks you're supposed to be hurt going into meet day, or like it's supposed to be painful. And I'm like, you guys fucking retarded. Like you're supposed to feel the best on meet day. Like that should be the best time you felt during the whole prep. But I don't know that people understand tapering at all, or how long it takes to taper, or any of those things really. How do you like to taper since you use the conjugate system? Since the way Louis did it was very different than what most people would consider how to lift. Because I don't even think they fucking tapered. They're just like, we're gonna go do a meet today.
Yeah, well, that's I think Burley Hawk still talks about that too, right? Where he's like, there's no off season. You should be able to kind of train normal and then sign up for a meet and go do the contest and then be fine. And I think he still will post things about that every once in a while on his Instagram. But I mean, the guy's a genius. But I kind of do more of a classic taper. I usually do like an 8 week prep. I know that a lot of people will do longer than that, 12, 16 weeks, whatever. I've found that to not work well for our people. And I found that to not work well for the way that I program. So usually we'll take about 8 weeks. We're hitting in the first like front 4 weeks, we're usually hitting some kind of competition-esque variation that's not exactly like comp squat, comp bench, comp dead, but close enough, whether it's like a low box squat or even band. I used to do banded squats a lot with no box for a while on max effort days and kind of work to a percentage. Um, and then 4 weeks out, we're usually hitting our deadlift opener. 3 weeks out, we're hitting our squat opener. 2 weeks out, we're hitting a bench opener. And then the week of, we'll do 50 to 60% I've kind of changed that in the last couple months to being more of a 5 week deal where like 5 weeks out, we're hitting a deadlift opener. 4 weeks out, we'll hit a squat opener. 3 weeks out, I'll have them do last warm ups on squat and deadlift. 2 weeks out, we're still doing our bench opener, and then a week up 50 to 60%, and then all the accessories taper down. So if we're doing like 4 or 5 sets on something, like a primary accessory, 4 weeks out, then by week 2, we're cutting that in half and doing like 2 sets or 1 set if they like are kind of feeling a little rough. Because prep, I mean, like during prep, you're not supposed to really feel great, right? You're literally trying to peak your body up. And so I just had that conversation with somebody. She competed for the first time back in November, and she's only been powerlifting for like 2 years. She signed up with me at the beginning of this year. And so she did her first contest in November, and all of prep, she's like, I don't feel good. Like everything feels awful. And then we get to openers week, and she's like, okay, things are, feeling a little better. And then you start tapering down accessories and kind of taking volume off and really trying to like ramp that down. And she's like the week of the meet, she's like, oh my God, I feel amazing. Yeah, that's kind of what the taper is supposed to do. So I don't know that I would really. I think I just kind of do like that classic taper where you do a volume drop off, keep intensity high on some of the lifts, and make sure that everything is moving well and kind of greasing the groove like 1 to 2 weeks out going into the contest.
Funny, I'm so foreign to powerlifting. I only know the conjugate way or the fifth set way. There is no other way, in my opinion. I don't know. Like when you say normal, I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that even means. I don't even know what people normally do. I know the people I see most of the time don't know what the fuck they're doing and don't taper. Like they'll tell me about a
Yeah.
PR they hit in training 3 weeks ago, and I'm like, that was your peak. You just fucked it up. Like
Yep.
you blew your load too early.
Yeah.
But
No, I agree. I guess classic taper is probably a poor way of saying it. I should rephrase and say classic athletic performance taper. Because like I said, that's more my background and that's what I've seen work for our guys. So I mean, well,
wait, you
obviously, like
treat
I'll
them
change
like
things
athletes
up, but
instead of powerlifters? That's crazy.
imagine that.
Oh.
Imagine that. Wait, I thought powerlifting wasn't a sport.
I mean, relative to other sports, it's really not. Like
Yeah,
anyone who's
you're
competed
lifting.
into a sport, going out on the platform's not really a big deal, in my opinion. That's what people ask me. They're like, don't you get nervous? I'm like, for what? And I think I'm pretty sure I
Anybody.
squatted in front of more people in a big box gym than I do at these meets. Like, regionals
Yeah.
will be interesting. I want to see a room of 200 people and see if I can get some fucking adrenaline from that. But no, really, the only thing that gets me amped up is the ammonia. And like last time on my deadlifts, I hit that too hard and was crying. So that didn't work. Oopsies.
That's funny. That's why the USPA says to face a crowd because you don't want to freak them out.
Face away from the crowd? Oh,
Yeah.
really? Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. That's their like rule. They warn you if you're like facing the crowd and you take that hit,
Oh, we do
because
it in the
guys kind
back
of freak
before we
out.
walk out, but
Yeah. Some
oh,
guys don't all the time. Some guys do it like literally right before they're about to walk out on the platform.
oh, I have not seen that. That is not how they do it here in Colorado. Interesting. That's the other thing. It's so different from place to place, right? Like it's always fucking something new.
Yeah. No, that's true too. I remember when we went to Texas for our first meet, this was like the first like real exposure to the guys for anything powerlifting. And I'm pretty sure like 90% of the people on that were there were probably on something.
Oh yeah.
And then it was very much like old school, like just the environment. You see like West Side shirts everywhere, cut off flannels, jean jackets, all that stuff. You know what I mean? In
Welcome to America,
Texas.
baby.
And then yeah, and then but then it's funny because then you come here, right? And California is weird because it's such a melting pot for literally everything.
Welcome to
And
China.
you dude, it's just weird. Like you have all kinds of different people. You're not seeing anything like that. You might see one West Side shirt maybe in like 1 month of
Well,
like
I
the
mean,
competition, but then
the
the
West
rest it's
Side
like
style
nothing.
of living is not really conducive to California. Let's be real,
Not
right?
at
Like
all.
that's just
Not
not
at
a
all.
thing. Like, yeah, no, at the back. So at my meet, I was like, oh, these people probably aren't all on drugs. And then I started talking to some of them in the back, and these motherfuckers were on all kinds of drugs. Like, Jesus Christ, you guys really took the drug-free thing and ran with it. Like, people not lifting even as much as I do were doing all kinds of shit. I'm like, all right. I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But like, you might want to get better at the thing before you take the drugs.
Yeah, that's the problem, right? I think Dave Tate talked about it with I think it was John Hack, where he was on Table Talk, where he said the problem is a lot of guys jump on juice before they're really ready for it, when they haven't really exhausted their natural potential. And you
Or
see
they
that all
don't
the
even know how to
time.
train.
That too, yeah. It's like, dude, figure out how to like maybe lift first and maybe see what your body can do. And even if you have any genetic potential to begin with, you know what I mean? I mean, you might take to lifting and maybe you don't need it. Maybe you're one of those drug-free freaks that are out there that can just pump weight and not have to worry about it. But yeah, I tell the guys all the time that there's probably more people that are on something than they probably realize or think in the
Yeah, I'm
room.
beginning to think if it's not tested and it's a drug allowed thing, everybody's doing it.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh, 100%.
the crazy thing was that this one I went to, the 181 guys, which were juice, but they were fucking pulling like 700 pounds. Like, Jesus
Freaks.
fuck, like you guys are getting after it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's yeah. I mean, we see that a lot. I mean, especially in California, right? Because it's so saturated here, so we get a lot of exposure to it. I've only met, well, I don't know if maybe one, but there's one guy that I could think of. He was kind of on. He was on our team for like 4 or 5 months, and then jumped off. His cousin is a really good powerlifting coach, and so he's on. He went to join their team, but he won the 2022 USPA untested nationals as a natural lifter.
Oh,
And
impressive.
he's probably the only one
What
that
weight class?
I've won 40 plus, so 308 and higher.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, he's a big boy, but he hit like 672 squat, like 450 bench. I don't remember what he did on deadlifts for that.
And that
So
one nationals?
yeah,
Man, I
he's
need to
a
get my
well,
strongman
so
to do it. He would fucking
he's a
crush that.
junior. I should say
Oh,
that
okay.
too.
Yeah, that helps.
Yeah, it does change things.
But
But
yeah,
still, he's a freak. He hit 700 like 2 or 3 months ago on squat, and he's a 500 bencher now. So
Oh wow.
my athlete always talks about it. He's like, I want to do a not a tested meet and go to nationals. I'm like, you'd break all the records in the WRPF. Like, wouldn't even be close because he squats like in the eights. He fucking benches probably like 550 and pulls in the eights. Just like
that's crazy.
nice. 2100 total almost. Just fucking being a strong
Yeah,
man.
it's crazy.
Well, he totaled the one
Strongman
meet
are
he
real
did, he
athletes.
totaled 1800 and he had no technique. Like he's warming up with a 400-pound bench press in the back, and everyone's like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" Like terrible form, like no tech. I'm just like, yeah, he's just strong as fuck.
That's crazy. Those guys are the freaks. I mean, strongman guys are the ones that are like, I think, more impressive because the stuff that they do.
There's no technicality in strongman though. All the
Well, I
technique goes
mean,
out the window.
Just move the stuff.
true,
Yeah, go from
move
A
the
to B.
stuff, but like log press though, right? Like, I mean, if you're picking up a log and you're not tight to the body, that's where bicep tears happen, right? Like things like that.
Kind of, but like my athlete bench, he presses 400, and I wouldn't say he's like a fucking technician at log press.
That's just brute strength. But that's a freak though, right?
Yeah,
Like those
no,
are
yeah,
the freaks,
100%.
man.
Yeah.
You throw some like technique in there, and he's just gonna.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he's actually like learned how to train in the last 6 months, and I'm like, oh Jesus, you're actually going to be pretty good at this then.
Yeah, those guys. Those are the guys to watch out for.
He's from California, ironically enough.
But is he
Oh,
gonna
man.
compete soon? When's he competing? When's his next like
He has to do
strongman?
the pro am in March so he can get invited to the America's Strongest Man. He wins the pro am, he gets an invite to America's Strongest Man.
Wow.
It's sick.
You win America's Strongest Man, you get to go to the big leagues.
Man, that'd be cool.
Funny. Yeah.
So he's gonna hopefully beat Gabe Pena in his comeback.
Dang.
That's the hope. We'll see. Someone, I don't know if you guys probably didn't see this. Some asshole the other day, I was making him do conditioning. And so he was pulling 200 pounds on the sled and carrying 75 pounds in each hand with kettlebells
Yeah, I saw that.
for 18 rounds.
Oh,
So it was 13
Oh
minutes
my
of work.
God.
And some fucking idiot's like, oh, why don't you carry the actual weight so you could be a pro or carry weight like a pro would? And I'm like, so I had to jump in because I'm defensive like that. I go, this is a conditioning workout. He's all, yeah, I know it's conditioning, but I was talking about the kettlebells in his hands. I go, yep, they condition your forearms, your biceps, your triceps, your traps, like all of those things. And he's like, well, I have girls that do more than that. And I go, do your girls do it for 13 minutes? And then I was like, And I was like, so you think adding more weight is going to give you a better metabolic adaptation? He couldn't answer that question. And then the girl one, he literally tagged the chick who won the Shaw Classic, which I don't even think is his athlete. I think I know the guy who coaches that chick. It wasn't this dude. And I'm like, what the fuck are we talking about here? Like, yes, he can carry more than 75 pounds a hand, but it's 13 fucking minutes of work. Who the fuck needs more than 140 pounds for that?
It's about
I'm
percentages.
so fucking
Come on
irritated.
now.
At least now I have the wherewithal to ask people questions online so that everyone else can see how stupid they are too.
Nice. I like that. Fight the troll back.
Yeah, dude. Like,
Half the
why are you
time
gonna
people
come
don't really
shit
know
on
what they're
someone's
talking about.
workout for no reason? Like,
'Cause
I'm
they
trying to
have-
get this motherfucker from 420 pounds down to 380, 350 pounds.
Gonna have to
Like-
do some conditioning.
How stupid is it? He's 6'4", so Eddie Hall's height, walking around at 420 pounds naturally with no health issues. Eddie Hall was almost
Jeez.
dead.
Yeah. Right.
Wow.
Exactly. But that's the problem though with people like the internet warriors is like I feel like half of them just like kind of trying to pick a fight, you know what I mean?
Well, and this
or
guy
they
was a
just like,
strongman himself that literally competed
but
against my
see,
athlete before. He's just being a dick for no reason.
oh yeah, see now that makes sense. But I think half the time it's like people who are out there that are like, this isn't what I do, or I think that's wrong. Text and they're just like spouting off. It's like, dude, shut up. Like, don't like. Let's ask questions.
Context. Yeah, you get find the context first, and then if you want to ask questions, but don't be a jerk about it.
Well, I
yeah,
mean,
not at least right off the bat.
There's a million ways to skin a cat, and I unfortunately have the beautiful skill of making people feel fucking stupid. So if you want to go down this road, we can go down this road. I will ask you plenty of questions, and you won't know what the fuck I'm even talking about. And then what are we gonna do? You're gonna sit there with your thumb up your ass. Because like when I asked him if his chicks carry that weight for 13 minutes, he just tagged the one chick who's super strong, and I'm like, "Was that your answer? It was a yes or no question, you fucking moron." Like, I don't understand what we're doing here. You're trying to get me to play a game that I'm not gonna play with you, I think. But
yeah.
Well, that was my trolling for last week. That was pretty fun. So.
Or you'll just shout them out on an Instagram story. I like those.
Oh, when I call out people there? Fuck
Yeah,
those people.
I love those. Those crack me up. Just like, Alex had an encounter today. I wonder who pissed him off in the real world.
Yeah, you motherfuckers, dude. Or like I wrote a post last week pissed off, and it's done better than like 95% of my posts. I'm like, I just need an angry rant. Is that what everybody wants? Do you want me to tell everyone how fucking stupid they are?
I want the raw
Apparently.
emotion. Yeah.
I guess. I don't know. I was so fucking mad.
Yeah. Yeah, the internet's weird.
You have to deal with that a lot of that in California too, right? Like there's got to be some winners out there for sure, right?
Yeah.
Like in the
in
the strength and conditioning world, is it pretty bad out there? Or is it just on the internet? Or do you run into a lot of that out there?
I've been fortunate enough to kind of avoid all that, to be honest. I also am very like tight knit and have a closed circle. I don't really try to venture off too far. But there are, I mean, you definitely run into some weirdos and some people who are just like, they just don't know what they're talking about, trying to just throw stuff out there, comment. I don't know if they're, just trying to start something, like I said, or if it's like genuine, they don't know. It's hard to say. But yeah, I mean, that's the politics game of it too,
Sure.
Right? It's like, well,
That's the overall problem with the internet, right? Is these motherfuckers would never say this shit in person.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Like that's the irritating part where I will gladly tell you you're a fucking moron in person. I don't care. Like if you're fucking stupid, you're fucking stupid. I can't help you there. Like that's your fault. Figure it out. Go read a book or something. I don't know, but this guy, like he claimed to be a coach, and I wanted to tell him, be like, give everyone their fucking money back that you've ever charged for coaching, because like you're a fucking idiot. Like, you might be a good athlete, but you clearly cannot be a good coach. They're two different things.
Yeah.
Like,
a lot of people forget
that's the
that.
other problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've seen more. I don't know. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but California also seems to kind of be saturated with that too. Is I've lifted for a few years. I kind of know what I'm doing. And then they make a coaching announcement. And I'm just like, oh God, here we go.
There's a culture in California of
just
just being phony though, too, is the problem, I think, as well.
Well, that's what it is. I mean, it's, hey, I can do this myself. So I can help other people. And there's so much more to it than just that, and I mean, not to say that some really good athletes could be good coaches, right? Like if they study and understand what they're doing, the guys that are lifting a lot, mean, they got there somehow, right? I mean, yeah, they probably have a coach, but they're still understanding of what they're doing and why, and they are a student of the sport too. So if they're going to learn something and pick something up, chances are they probably at least have a general idea of how to do something. But for the most part, the guys that I see out here who are like, I'm announcing my coaching business, or, clients this and clients that. I'm like, dude, the problem with that too is that it tends to be people who actually like have a personality and have a decent following on Instagram or social media or whatever it is. And so then people are like flocking to them because they've lifted this much and they've done that. And it's like, like we're over here and I'm like, yeah, we're in year 2 and I barely have any followers on Instagram. So nobody really cares what I do there anyways.
They're
And
bullshit
nobody's going to
artists
come
who
to us
happen to be
back.
athletes, right? Like that's what it is.
Yeah.
It's used car salesman mentality.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And that's the problem, because then guys go there, sign up. Maybe they make gains because of, newbie gains or whatever, and just starting off. And then they either hit a plateau, get injured or whatever, and then quit completely. And then there's an athlete that's now no longer expanding the sport, and that's the problem.
Where did
That's
you go ahead?
No, you're good, Nathan. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, where did you? So you do West Side, or I mean, you do conjugate. I don't know if you do West Side specifically, but where? Do you do West Side, or do you kind of make it your own? Kind of like what it should be is like, this is what we have, and now how can I make this work for my athletes? Where, or did you kind of struggle in the beginning when you ran conjugate, and kind of how have you adapted it as you went along, or where do you see people fail with conjugate? Because conjugate, it's a bad name. West Side gets a bad name sometimes, but what have you done to kind of help it become successful with the coaching that you do?
So I think early on, because like I said, I kind of fell backwards into powerlifting, and I've always been more on the conjugate side. I mean, when I did internships in the college world, you kind of had to learn everything, right? Linear progression, Mike Boyle's method, juggernaut,
Yes, Mike
freaking
Boyle. Yes.
triphasic.
Talking about somebody I fucking hate.
Oh,
Oh, was that a buzzword? Sorry, should I not have said that?
that
No,
dude
you're
is
fine. It's just like him and Joel Seedman are the same thing to me.
Michael Boyle is the holiest of holy guy. Like, I am holier than thou. Oh my god. Anyway, I'm sorry.
Well, and so granted, I mean, well, the Mike Boyle thing was like probably like 8 years ago when I had to actually like do that. So relevance, right? Context. The triphasic, right? Like triphasic training, all that stuff. I've always erred towards West Side. I've always enjoyed doing the conjugate stuff myself. Usually it's I've sprinkled here and there. And so when I got into powerlifting, I'm like, dude, we're gonna do this full tilt. Like, this is what we're going for. And so starting off, was a lot of it was kind of trial by fire, because the gym that I had worked for at the time, we had a couple guys come in that the owner had brought in who wanted to do powerlifting competitively. And when we got out, this was 2020. And so when we opened back up after lockdowns had stopped in California, which was like June 2020, these guys were rolling in ready to go. Good. And they're going from like at home workouts with like literally nothing to, all right, cool. Now we have barbells, plates, and all the things that we need to actually do this thing. And so a lot of it was a pretty steep learning curve on what to do, because the gym was also pretty bare bones. So we had to get pretty creative with the stuff that we had. I mean, we had, calibrated or iron. We had multi-purpose bars, dumbbells that went up to 50. Like, we were pretty bare bones. And so early on, it was very much old school West Side, max out on something different every week. Your standard kind of 10 sets of 2, 9 sets of 3 on dynamic days. And just kind of ran with that for a while until it was time to find another stimulus. And then when it got time to figure out, once they got acclimated enough, then I decided to actually throw accommodating resistance in and use bands. Since then, like, if you look at a program now, it looks nothing like that first year's worth of programs. I think since then, I hesitate to always use West Side conjugate as the term that we do, just because, like, even Dave Tate talks about it on Table Talk. He's like, well, which West Side? Are you doing the old 10x2, or are you doing 5x5s, or are you actually even doing like conjugate to begin with? And so I get pretty hesitant to use West Side specifically. And I would say that we're using the principles, because conjugate at its base is a system, right? It's not really a program or like periodization. It's a system, right? And so you can kind of pull in, pull out, do what you need to do here, kind of change things here to make it your own, and really use the principles that make sense for each lifter. And so everything we do is still individualized. And we might do team programs where main max effort movements are like, low box squat with a safety bar, or, duffel bars against duffel bar against bands, whatever the case may be, or I don't know, you name it, right? Like we'll do whatever the variations are for max effort work. And then accessories is where I'll get a little nuanced if we're doing like team cycles. For dynamic days, I think that's where most of the magic happens anyways, right? Like Louis would talk about that. Jason talks about that at his seminars. Dynamic days are the opportunities that you can actually have to move weight better and move things faster, so to speak, in an effort to actually push the needle on the strength side. And so that's where I'll get a little bit more dialed in. We still do our like 10 by 2, 12 by 2, 8 by 2 to kind of breakdowns, but I'll cycle in like 8 by 3s or 5 by 5s, with and without accommodating resistance. I recently went through a stint where we didn't do any accommodating resistance at all, because a lot of the guys, to be honest, like bands are great, but you can cheat bands, right? Like you can get in there and you can either go too slow or not do it correctly and not really get what you need out of it. And so a lot of our guys, when it came time to actually compete, they would have issues with heavier weight on their back because we weren't doing it enough throughout the week. And so we switched to a straight weight model where we had no accommodating resistance, and we were doing more of that like 70, 75, 80% breakdown for 3-week waves. And I was really pushing them to move well through that time frame, and which worked well enough. Now I'm throwing them back on accommodating resistance. But I was telling Alex a couple weeks ago that I had recently discovered, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Seth Albersworth at all on Instagram. Typically people mostly are, but he's a conjugate guy and he has a lot of free stuff that he puts out all the time. And I stumbled across his, what he calls modern conjugate program on his website. And I was kind of go through that. And a lot of it made sense to me as far as the principles and the breakdown. And so the way that he had things set up was on your, it wasn't even like max efforts and dynamic effort splits. It was all kind of jumbled together. And so you have like one day where you're doing, kind of a quote unquote max effort squat. And then you're doing your volume deadlifts after. And then your upper days are still the same, where you have like a max effort upper and then a volume, volume or speed upper. And then the second lower day was the inverse of whatever you did on day one. So it's like a max effort style deadlift and then your volume squats. And I ran a bunch of my guys through that in kind of a different way. So I kind of took the same model, and I did a couple guys where they were doing actually two max efforts on lower day. So they were doing a squat. Say it was like, I would start them off with like a safety bar squat for like a double. And then right after they would do a 6-inch block pull for a 3x3. And we'd taper that down over 12 weeks. It was a 12-week build. And every single one of them either matched a PR or hit a massive PR at the end of it. And I have a couple guys that are still finishing those builds. But those principles are things that I've been implementing a little bit more lately, where it's kind of not, I don't want to call it jumbled up. It's still like purposeful. But that has been a little bit more interesting to me. I have one of my guys that's gone back to more truer conjugate, where it's week 1 squat, week 2 deadlift, week 3 good morning, plus the dynamic days. Because now he just needs to push weight after he's had a massive blow up in his numbers from that. But I kind of vary it based on the year. We have 52 weeks out of the year. If 16 weeks of that is dedicated to prep because they're competing twice a year, then that doesn't really leave a lot of time to do anything else. And I'll run typically one GPP cycle just to give everybody's body a break, which is anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks. So I mean, we're only really having like 30 weeks out of the year to work with when it comes to actual programming. So I tend to get a little creative, but stick to the basics when it comes to conjugate.
So what do you make them do in the off season since their preps are not as long?
Typically, honestly, we're just building. We're doing like straight conjugate work, and a lot of it is going to be higher volume. So like right now, one of my guys, he's back on program after competing 2 weeks ago, and he needs to get bigger. So he's not going to compete for like the next 6 to 8 months, and he's going to still lift heavy. He'll still do some max effort work, whatever that looks like for those 2 days. And then he's doing like bodybuilding accessory work. So we're doing like 15 plus reps, really hammering down on volume. He's going to be eating like 5,000 calories a day because he needs to really build out. And so that's like one example. But everybody else, I mean, we're very much. I'm very much in line with the idea that if we needed to sign up for a competition in 2 weeks, we could, and it'd be a easy kind of go. But for the most part, everybody is pretty much on conjugate, pretty standard throughout the year.
Based on your definitions, I am not conjugate at all. Furthest thing from it.
That's the system, though.
You're not West Side. You're not West Side. West Side conjugate.
I'm fucking doing my own thing here because like I
What
got
do you do, Alex?
prep coming up. I'm gonna tell you when my prep starts. So prep for me starts January 30th. We go back to squats. So from January 30th till June 3rd.
June is when the meet is.
Yeah, it'll be June 3rd or 2nd, 2nd or 3rd, something like that.
But you're doing fifth set stuff, right? Isn't that what you said?
Kind of. Not really.
Two of the exercises would be fifth set related.
I mean, I use principles from the fifth set methodology, and I use principles from the conjugate, and then I use principles from N1, and then I use I've literally just clusterfucked and made my own thing.
Just like Frankenstein it together.
Yeah, like the amount of rest that I take in between lifts, everyone thinks I'm fucking nuts. Like, well, I don't know, it works. I haven't been hurt.
For
I keep
like
PRing.
heavy days, or
Yeah, so I lift every third day.
lift every third day.
So I take that 48 hours in between and very seriously.
But then what do you do on lifting days? Like how do you manage that?
So this prep, we'll have a day that is a squat day. We'll have a day that is a press day. We'll have a day that's a rowing day, then a day that's a pull day. So like the first half of my workouts is like practice of my sport. And then the second half of the workout is like training to get better at the sport, which I think a lot of people struggle with powerlifting because they think you just need to do more powerlifting. I'm like, you should have like a practice and then you should have training. But that's just the way I look at it from being an athlete before. Like I wouldn't go fucking just keep playing basketball all the time to get better at basketball. Type of thing.
Yeah. Well, I mean that's the athletic performance side of things, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean you still have to like do the thing, but you still have to train for the thing.
Right.
So I agree. I do agree with you. I do think that a lot of people just kind of say, we just need to throw more at this and hope that it goes well.
One thing I don't understand is like a lot of people will have a secondary bench day, but nobody has a dedicated back day. And I believe traps help every single lift that you do because they're so used in every single lift. Yeah. And yet nobody wants to dedicate some serious time to making them as strong as fuck. Like when you learn how to bench correctly, your traps get sore as shit because you're having to use them the whole time. But yeah. I think most people just don't get that far into the technique thing. So,
well, yeah, that's the thing too, right? Like I've had guys come in who either have had previous coaches or they like Googled stuff or whatever, and we're like tweaking things and doing this and doing that, and they're like, "Oh, that helped." I'm like, "Yeah, it's kind of the idea as far as tweaking technique, right? Like, I don't try to get caught up in technique, but I'm also not against pushing weight, right? Like you kind of have to have both. And so if you can fix your position and you can get better at moving, then you can actually throw weight on. And I agree. I think we do back every day. Well, I shouldn't say every day. We do back every main session, right? And so to take on that Louis like conjugate where it's like 4 main sessions and you do minis, I'll have guys some of my guys do like 1 to 2 mini sessions, but most of the time it's more back work. You know, our primary accessories are pretty much all back. It's like they'll do a squat for max effort. Maybe we'll do some supplemental squats or some like inverse supplemental pull work, and then they're going into back work, and then they're doing whatever else for lower. But it's like back is like always, almost always a primary accessory for us.
Right. Yeah. So like my last prep, I did accommodating resistance max effort work for everything. And I would taper. What did I do? I add the resistance as I went, or did I take it away? I think I added more resistance as I went because I needed more speed. Like I don't need help handling the weight. I need help moving it faster. So I would do more accommodating resistance and less straight weight, which would also deload my body along the way so I'm not completely fucked. But it seemed to help. I just think I fucked myself with the water cut, so I didn't have it all on game day. But
yeah, that'll do it.
I have high expectations too. I lost 20 pounds and still got a PR and everything and was not happy.
I mean, you know, it's always nice knowing that you have more in the tank though, walking away, right? And knowing that you can do things differently.
Sure. Yeah.
But that's what it is. Like I'll have guys that will get upset after a meet and I'm like, dude, you had a good meet. And you also have to remember, like, it's not about this meet, it's about the next one, right? Whether it's nationals or maybe a record or whatever. Corey Gregory does it the way that you said it. Corey Gregory, I listened to him a while back and was looking at his like West Side implementation methodology at his gym, and he does for their prep, he'll do increased band resistance in the same way on the bar, and then they'll take it off right before because then things are popping, right? Because like you said, bands are going to help you move that with that explosiveness, but then you're also getting that recovery factor.
Man, if you put bands and chains on the bar, oh, buddy. You want to talk about some craziness? I accidentally pulled almost 600 on a deadlift because I miscalculated how much fucking accommodating resistance I had. It was like 600 at the top and I didn't know it.
Oh my God.
Oopsies.
That's nuts. Oops.
It fell out of my hands. I was like, oh, fuck. And then I did the math and I went, oh, that wasn't 500 at the top. That was 600 at the top. Oopsies.
No. That's a like major miscalculation there.
Yeah, dude, I was way off. I didn't know. I didn't realize that the blue bands were as heavy as they were at the top. I thought they were less, for sure.
All right. Math is hard. I get it.
Yeah, well, those West Side Blues, you know how they are. Those ones will really teach you some overspeed eccentrics.
They will suck your soul, and that is what they do.
Yeah.
Hate this.
I think when you said you could cheat accommodating resistance, like those ones will let you cheat. Like if you can brace tight enough to go down fast, you're gonna fucking come right back up so fast.
That's the idea, right? That's what you want.
That is the idea. On the deadlift, though, it just rips out of your hands about halfway up.
Yeah, I feel like all
of a sudden I hit a fucking roadblock.
I feel like my shoulder's gonna rip out of socket every time I pull against those things.
Yeah, Nathan hurt himself last time he tried to use the blues because someone made a 50-pound jump for some reason.
No, it wasn't 50. It wasn't 50.
Yeah, it was.
Oh, it was only...
it fucking was because I asked you. I go, why the fuck would you add 50 pounds?
Oh well,
like I don't know. It just felt good. I was like,
well, it was like kind of like his guy where it's like 315 with blues felt like 70%. So I was just like, yeah, whatever. I'll cut.
So you went to 375 with blues, which is like fucking 460 or
365
at the top.
365.
That's like such a huge jump.
Yeah, felt good.
You sound like my guys.
That's what I'm saying.
Especially with as tall as Nathan is, it's like 80 to 90 pounds a side.
Hey, I found out.
How tall are you, Nathan?
I'm just 6 foot.
Oh, okay.
I'm not real tall.
My one of my guys is 6'4".
For powerlifting, 6 foot is huge.
Dude.
Yeah, I know.
6'4".
He's 6'4" and weighs like 210.
Oh shit.
Oh my God.
So imagine that. Yeah, so that's fun to work with.
Somebody get this guy some juice. Whoever Tommy Klein is, who's 6'4" and 200 pounds, someone slip him some D-ball in his lunches or something. We need this guy to gain some weight.
308, here we come. 308, here we come.
Right. That's what I tell him. Thank you. See, every time somebody says that, I tell him, I've been telling him that since day one. I'm like, dude, you need to be.
If you're that tall, yeah.
Like, I don't want to do it.
You got to go. You got to go somewhere.
Dave Hoff is 5'6", 300 pounds. So he's the strongest man in the world.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Hey, weight moves weight. I'm with you. I mean, I know we had that conversation.
I know that's what they say, but I lost 20 pounds and moved way more weight. So it's not entirely true.
No, 100%. I mean,
But yes,
there's always
there is a
exceptions.
greater capacity for weight to be moved.
If
the
he
bigger
if
you
he
are.
jumps almost 100 pounds, I think weight's gonna move weight for sure.
No, it totally
Oh,
does,
he'd
but I
be one of
think
the best
people
to
are
do
really
it.
discrediting how much it's your nervous system
Right.
when they
Right.
say that shit, because like adding on more muscle tissue is not going to make your nervous system work better. It just
Right.
doesn't work that way. Otherwise, bodybuilders would be the strongest motherfuckers in the world,
I no,
and
100%.
they're not at all, not even
Yeah.
close. Relative strength
Well, and
wise, they're
that's
weak as shit.
right. And that's what I tell the guys all the time. It's like, hey, at the end of the day, right? Like we'll say mass moves mass, but at the end of the day, you still have to be able to move well, and you still have to actually like be able to use your body the way that you want. You can't just gain 100 pounds and still move like garbage. Then you're changing leverages, and you're probably going to be worse off anyways. So, but like for
Absolutely
him,
right.
I mean, he's 6'4". He's grown up in athletics, so he knows his body pretty well. He's finally like squatting actually decent numbers for his height and for not for only powerlifting for like 3 years. Like he squats 440, benches 340, and deadlifts 611.
Good
So
Little sumo, doesn't he?
he's like a weird hybrid frog stance guy.
That's sumo in my book. If it's not feet
His
together, it's sumo.
conventional, see, that's the argument. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not fit together. His
There's
conventional was absolutely god awful. He
really,
just couldn't. His height, yeah, he had.
yeah, his leverages probably suck for
legs
you.
Oh,
are
Probably
God.
legs and no torso.
He's all legs, zero torso almost, and like freaking crazy wingspan. So he's
Does
all
he
kinds of funky.
does he squat West Side style too?
No,
Him squatting that
actually,
way?
he
No, he
can't.
squats like an Olympic lifter.
No, he has hip problems.
Oh,
So yeah, so it's honestly it's taken us like a year to figure out his squat finally. So he squats like a T. His arms are almost sleeve to sleeve, and then his feet are pretty close together.
interesting.
Wow. Interesting.
Yeah, he's funky.
When I met Ed Cohen, he's like, "Are you an Olympic lifter?" I was like, "No, why?" He's like, "You fucking squat like one." I was like, "Good to know." It's like if you learn how to low bar, you'll add 100 pounds to your squat. I'm like, I'll work on that shoulder mobility, Ed. Let me work on that.
It's funny to me listening to the old school lifters talk about that stuff though, because if you look at a lot of the newer guys that are not huge, nobody's really squatting that way anymore.
The hip hinge.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
because
don't get
Dan
me
Bell
wrong, it
and
works,
fucking
but
John Hack have changed the game.
exactly.
But
I
I
mean, you
think
talk to anybody who was doing it 40 years ago, and it's like wide stance, sit back, and then bounce out of the hole. It's like
I don't
you
think
do
you're
that no more.
squatting 1,300 pounds like Hoff can, doing it John Hack style. I
No,
just
no,
don't.
I agree.
I
with
don't
that.
think that's
No, I
even
agree.
happening. I don't think that's a thing. Like maybe John will get there, but I don't think so. And like
I mean, I don't know. It's hard to say. I don't know.
he's a freak,
I don't know.
but he doesn't
Who
think
knows
so.
how long? Who knows how long he's going to be in the powerlifting world too? Because he's been doing strongman stuff in the off season. So
But I think
he
that's
takes
like
it really well.
outside of just bodybuilding, that's the best off season for powerlifters.
I agree 100%. That's what my 6'4" guy does. I tell him all the time he'd be a better strongman than a powerlifter.
Probably moving events would fucking be easy for him.
Yeah, he actually did his first strongman contest back in September, and he took second. So, as an amateur, but he
Gotta
actually
get
did.
your
I mean,
feet
he
wet
did pretty
somehow,
good.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's covering
And
a
in
lot more
California,
ground.
there's probably a lot of competitors. Whereas like here, I play second and third in powerlifting meets just because everyone sucks.
Yeah, meets sell out pretty quick here. It's always hard to get in sometimes, but it's different. Strongman's starting to come up in our area too. I mean, we have the training hall,
Mhm.
which is like a big, strongman gym. But
That was
the
one of
gym
the
that we'll
first
go
events
to,
my athlete actually won, ironically enough.
oh, that
It was
one?
805 strongest man, yeah.
Yeah. The one that they have, it's always in December, right? It's this month.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Odd
Yeah, I
Haugen.
know a couple guys are going to that one too that we know. We'll probably try. I'll probably try to get into that one next year. Just like you said.
That's what you need to do, dude. Just transition to strongman. Fuck the squatting.
Strongman, dude. I don't know if I could give up squatting. Honestly, that's what I go to.
You
the
like
gym to
squatting,
do.
do you? I fucking hate squats.
Hate it.
They're by
Hate
far
it.
the worst exercise in the world, in my opinion. Oh my
Dude, I
god.
love squatting. I go to the gym to squat. That's what I do. When my wife was pregnant and we just had our baby, I could only get to the gym like twice a week to lift, and every single time I'm squatting. That's what I'm doing.
Nope. I'm
my
good.
guy.
Thank you.
No.
I mean, I kind of miss it a little bit, I guess, because this bodybuilding stuff is so fucking painful. Like, Jesus Christ. You want to talk about being a masochist? Just fucking chase that pump all the time. That shit hurts.
The true bodybuilding. Yeah.
Yeah,
sucks.
no, yeah. I'm doing literally nothing but bodybuilding. Like my hamstrings are fucked from this morning. Like that kind of stuff. I'm like, this sucks. Like I just feel my body getting in worse shape as the day goes on. Like this is
Yeah.
fucked up.
But the problem is that people call bodybuilding what some people call bodybuilding isn't actually bodybuilding.
Probably power building. I trolled somebody about
Which
this
is then
too.
just training, like you're
They
just
asked
lifting
they
weights.
asked a question on Instagram about power building and what they thought of it. I go, it's a fucking marketing term, like getting toned. Like it's not a thing. Power building is literally the way you should be training for powerlifting.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I
You're
don't
just
know.
like adding a little bit more volume half the time.
I have no idea. I don't know what power building is. I think it's just a marketing word to sell programs. That's what I think it is.
I think it's a way for people to probably actually, yeah, that's probably true. I think it's a way to sell programs without it looking scary, like scary powerlifting, and
Right.
without people thinking that they're gonna blow up in bodybuilding.
Change one word.
Like that.
Change one word and they come.
Yeah. Make two words fuck, and we got this compound word now. And you get the best of both worlds. You can do, and like ironically, that's kind of what I did for the longest time. Is I would do mostly bodybuilding, and then I would make sure to squat, bench, and deadlift at some point. So maybe that's power building. I don't fucking know, but I don't think that should be even a word. Personally,
We need clarity. If you've listened this far and you know what power building is, leave it in the comment below so we can have a clue what the heck it is.
that's probably my biggest gripe in strength training is nobody uses the same fucking terminology. Like guys, we all look like fucking idiots because nobody wants to sit here and read the same books.
Yeah, you go read Louis and then you go read Vershansky and it's like, wait a minute, they're talking about the same thing. I get it now. Like you have this
One
moment.
of them didn't speak English though, so that could be lost in translation there.
Probably.
That's true too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you got to realize the Soviet stuff. Like we're taking best guesses at it, as far as translating correctly, maybe.
Yeah. Hopefully it makes sense as far
Speaking
as
of Vershansky, plyometrics are not plyometrics, you fucking idiots. Anyone who calls a box jump a plyometric doesn't know what plyometrics are.
No, it's not it, people.
Never mind.
We're not giving you the
Like,
science lesson on it either.
You
Sorry.
know the idiots that'll be like, yeah, I do plyometrics. And I'm like, oh yeah, what do you do? They're like, oh, box jumps. And I'm like,
No.
what? Like, where's the shock part of it? Like you literally picked the easiest jumping variation that is the least stressful.
Least amount of
and
momentum.
you decided to call that plyometrics, and it's not at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Go read a book.
No, that's too hard.
It's too hard.
Stop it.
Speaking of which, Tommy, you need to read that fifth set book. I think you'd find some good tips in there.
It's you know what? It's in my Amazon cart, and I just haven't pushed the button yet. I've been wanting to. Just haven't done it.
It's like rush hour.
I'm telling you, because like when you get people that have never powerlifted before, you want to talk about an easy way to segue them into being able to do conjugate. That's it right there, buddy.
Yeah, and for a little while, I was looking into some of the stuff that Swede was doing, and a lot of my guys will watch his videos and stuff every so often to just kind of, get acquainted with some things or whatever the case may be. And his stuff is interesting, and I followed him for a while. I mean, I like what they're doing. I would like to learn more about it. I've been getting more into. I started to get into that, and then I took like a beeline, and I've been looking more at like jailhouse stuff lately. Josh Bryan.
Oh, really? The Josh Bryan stuff?
Yeah. My
6'4"
Dr.
lifter. Hatfield.
Yeah.
That's
really
from.
what it comes down to. Yeah. No, and
he'll say that.
He admits it. No, yeah. He says it. We did a seminar a couple weeks ago. My 6'4" athlete and I went down there in San Diego to listen to him speak and get some information out of him. He's very open that, Hatfield was his mentor, and that's where he got all his, information from, and that's just what he.
Well, it's like Swede will tell you all of his stuff mostly from Vershansky. Like that's where, like, good coaches don't mind telling you where they got the ideas.
Because everything in strength and conditioning is stolen. There's no original ideas. At this point,
not really.
I tell all my guys, if you ever come across somebody that says they invented this or they came up with this, they're a liar.
Or they're Joel Seedman.
It's all from somewhere. They're Joel
Seedman. Could be good at marketing.
Hey, do you guys follow Brad Schoenfeld?
Yeah. I see his posts. I don't follow him.
Yeah, I don't follow him.
He recently came out with a paper basically calling out Joel Seedman. And like directly not antagonizing him, but basically saying, look,
He's full
you
of shit.
are full of it and stop selling your stuff, you snake oil salesman. And
I
all
wish that
these
would
guys
work,
got in
but
the
all it did
comments
was what
to agree.
did for the Liver King probably is just got him more fucking people.
Yeah.
Like
I'm
we have to
sure.
ostracize him where you can't even talk about him. It has to be like he who cannot be named. Because like the more you talk about him, the more people are even going to go look, and then they might buy into the bullshit.
No, yeah, that is
Like,
no, I agree. That is the
he
problem.
understands marketing so well that there's no such thing as bad PR. So he's like, all right, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, sick. Just let me yeah. Well, that's
Trolling
the
us
funny
all
thing
the
about
way
his
to the bank.
posts. That's the funny thing about his post, right? He's like, here's this isometric, eccentric,
Isometric. Alex,
quadruple trap bar, single arm leg press on a poster ball. But first, let me talk about my latest ebook that just came out.
I think Alex, he was so not confused, but just like, I think when I don't remember, he sent me a post one day. Alex was like, eccentric, isometric. And I think it like stopped his brain for a second because he was like, I don't know if you were just thinking like, is this guy actually trying to say this or is this a thing? This is not a thing.
Well, like, what the fuck are you talking about? You can go eccentrically into an isometric.
Yeah.
You can't have an eccentric like that is not a thing.
Nope.
It's not
Right.
a possible anything. Like it's a made up thing.
Right. That was always my thing too. Like when he first started popping up on Instagram and stuff, however long ago, that would be the beginning of it. I sent it to my buddy. I'm like, am I reading this correctly? I did the same thing. I'm like, dude, is my brain glitching or is this actually like what he's trying to sell right now as far as the movement goes?
I don't like Kier. I don't like Kier at all, or Care, however you say his name. Rugby football.
That faggot rugby coach.
Yeah, I don't like him, but when he clowned on his running form that time when they were talking on they had a Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Oh, and he clowns him about his running form, and that was like the only moment I ever liked that guy. I was like, that was good.
Okay, he's probably one of these people that thinks you can teach running form, right? Like that's probably the thing. Like, what is it with people that think you can teach something like that?
You hate.
Like I get if you're really good at it, you could refine it, but you can't fucking teach somebody how to sprint. Yeah. Either your body can self-organize and do it quickly, or it can't. That's really all there is to it.
I had Arlie just texted me because he's listening, and he said, "My professor in college calls box jumps plyometrics," and he put like a laughy face, and I'm like, "Yeah, this is why."
Send him this podcast and tell him I said he's a fucking idiot.
I was like, "This is why your college exercise science degree will teach you absolutely nothing." So good luck.
Oh, man.
Yeah, Tommy, you got one of those, don't you? You're the CSCS guy. How much do you use that these days?
Yeah, I'll be honest. The only reason I have my CSCS still is because it took me a long time and I refuse to let it go.
Sure.
Right. So you pay the $200 every 2 years, right? You're like, I'll be a part of the club.
That's me. I'm part of the politics. Sure. I'm feeding the politicians.
So if you don't pay that, do you have to retake the test?
Probably.
Yes.
Oh my God, that's the
so it's not even paying the fee. You also have to do the CEUs.
Oh so my God.
It's a 3-year cycle.
Nathan, it is literally just the high-end NASM is all CSCS is.
What a joke. Oh, I know.
At this point,
I didn't realize it was that deep.
I mean, I will say that some of the people who are involved are actually helpful. I will say that because I did to get some CEUs, I did sign up for their tactical strength and conditioning seminar or conference or whatever. And I mean, I did it online because I'm like, I'm not going to go to this. But some of the information on there was actually valuable, I would say. But like the whole book is worthless. The whole actual CSCS book is completely worthless. The information that's in there is ridiculous. I have a couple guys that are trying to get their CSCS because they want to eventually move into that athletic performance realm. And it's basically required at this point to have, which is really why I got privately. It to begin with too. Well, see, so that's what I say. I'm like, if I knew now, or if I knew then what I know now and the direction that I would have ended up going in, I would have done half the stuff.
Absolutely.
The only way I would ever take that fucking test and be qualified for that is if I got to go to Oklahoma State or Michigan and get $1 million a year. Outside of that, like, fuck off. Like, and the straw man argument I have for you when you say that some of the stuff is right, well, a broken clock is right twice a day too. Like, sure. Like, I fucked around for a decade and didn't know what I was doing and had some things right.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm with you on that. I mean, the only real, like I said, I came from collegiate sports, or collegiate strength and conditioning. So the goal originally was to get my CSCS and then just stay in that world and find a director's position. But it's funny because guys who are in that world now will still tell you like, oh yeah, that's like the only reason that you have it is because it's a requirement from NCAA,
Yeah.
and that's what you needed in order to actually be employed at a Division 1 or 2 school.
That's what we call a racket. They're just all in on it,
100%.
making the fucking money.
I agree. I will say that I am glad. There was really no need for it, but I will say I am glad that I went and got a master's degree, because there was some valuable information in that too, right? The undergrad is complete and utter nonsense. I got lucky enough to go to a school that had some of the top researchers in the exercise science field, though. So I was lucky there to at least have some interaction with them. And then when I did go and get my master's program, because it's a little bit more hands-on and because I did an accelerated remote program, you're literally just reading research all day and then understanding and pumping out information that like you comprehend based on like what you are trying to find, right? So it's not 100% them telling you what to learn or what to regurgitate. It's now you actually having to use your brain.
Well, they were like teaching you how to apply it. Like you had to actually figure out how to use it. That's good.
Yeah, I mean, the first class that I was required to take was understanding and deciphering, the research and like published studies, and how to actually write like requests for like publishing a study. You know what I mean? Like that's what it was.
So for a cool 6 figures, the college will teach you how to apply the information. Or you could buy the $1,000 Westside cert.
Yeah, there you go. They'll send you all the books. True. More books than you could possibly ever digest in one setting in 6 months.
Oh, yeah.
I read them all in 6 months, so fuck you, Nathan.
No, I'm just saying it's a lot. It's a lot. You'll learn more in that 6 months than you will in 4 years of going to your undergrad. By far. If you actually take the time to digest the knowledge, you'll learn a ton.
Especially because they tell you to read all of Super Training.
Oh, God. Screw that book.
Oh, that book. Gosh, for real.
I hate that book.
I love that book.
I love that book, but I hate that book.
Rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, it's rough. I mean, it's great, but it's rough.
I legitimately read the first like 200 pages.
Yeah. Once Alex was like, hey, just use it as a reference, that's all I do now. So if I'm like, okay, let's go talk about the strength section. Okay, he's talking about explosive strength here. Let's go read about this. Maybe I need to brush up here. Okay, what's he say about like hypertrophy over here? Like what's he say like plyometrics over here? What's he talking? That's how I use it now, because I'm just like, apparently I can't read this book. Like I can't. I have tried and started and stopped that book like 6 times, and I'm like, whatever. I'm over it.
I don't blame you. I don't blame you at all. That was always a joke in undergrad, actually, in one of my classes. The professor didn't have any required books or readings or anything like that. He was like, everything that is going to be on tests and stuff is going to be from my lectures. And he was a researcher himself. So he's like, we're just going to run it the way that we need to run it. But he's like, if you ever want a book to put you to sleep, pick up Super Training.
It does.
And just lay in bed. And then before you know it, you're waking up 8 hours later.
Yeah, 1,000%. I had to stop reading it when I taught in schools. I had to stop reading it on my break because I would like fall asleep, and kids would come in my class and my head would be laying down. They're like, Mr. Jones, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine. Just read this stupid book. Just fell asleep.
It does do a good trick on that. I mean,
Arlie said, by the way, he said in the Twitch chat, he said, I have to work on getting my CSCS. And I said, you don't have to, LOL. And he said, to get into a school, I do. And I said, well, also not true, because most football coaches I know somehow pull off getting to do all the weight classes, even though they're not CSCS certified, just because they're football coaches. And we always assume that football coaches know how to make kids bigger, faster, stronger, which is not true. But most of the time, if you see a football job in Missouri, it's tied to strength and conditioning as well. And those guys don't have their CSCS. So they try to pull that bull cocky on you. Don't let them do it. So anyway,
a lot of accuracy in what you just said. My buddy, actually, he's the director at a prep school in Tennessee, and he doesn't have a CSCS.
Yeah, I mean, it's more about who's doing the hiring and what they're actually like, where they see your knowledge level and ability to apply it.
Yeah, Arlie, you want to know the best advice ever? It's not what you know; it's who you know. So take your time in college and build good relationships, and then your degree will be worth something.
In public schools,
if you don't build any relationships in fucking college, it's worthless.
Yeah, that's what he's been asking me. He's like, should I go to this school and internship? Should I go to this school and go to a couple days? Should I go to this? I'm like, yes, go to those big schools, get those people to know who your name is, hang out with them over the breaks, like go to them when you have free time. Like, yes, absolutely. Get around. If you want to be in the schools, make sure those schools know who the heck you are whenever you go to apply. Because if they don't know who you are, you're getting cast out immediately. Like, if you don't have a name in the public school sector, good luck. Good luck.
Yeah, I mean, all you need is to go somewhere and get one person to back your name, and that's it.
Yeah.
You know.
Speaking of which, Tommy, you want to come to Vegas with us in March or what?
What
Going
are you
to
guys
a
doing in
coaches
March?
conference. We're going to.
What?
Do you know the 4 weeks to the beach guy?
No, I
You haven't
don't
seen
know.
him? He's
Go-
fucking awesome.
Go listen to our episode with him.
We
You'll
had
love it.
we had him on the podcast because I saw him on Table Talk. I was like, I want this guy on the podcast. But he's doing a coaches conference where it's like 2 days of speakers, like doctors, and I'm pretty excited to meet Joel Jameson. That'll be cool.
I was shocked. I
Oh,
saw that
that'll be
name and I was
cool.
like, dang.
Yeah,
Dang,
And,
that's a big name.
right. But he's paying for like all of our meals. We get happy hour, fucking hang out and shoot the shit, and I don't know, seems pretty legit. So speaking of
I don't know.
networking,
We'll see. Yeah, shoot.
that's what the
Vegas is
conjugate
not that far
tactical
from
things
me.
were good for too.
Basically, I mean, Jason's cool. Talk to him all the time. You know, met you. So still talk to a few of those guys. All
He
the
just
time,
said,
but
met you. That was
Tommy
the-
was so nice. He complimented me on my box squat. That's how.
It
That's
was
how
really
we
good.
met.
I still remember that Cambridge bar for 400.
Yeah, it was rough.
That's my favorite bar, by the way.
Oh my god, you are sadistic.
We have the safety bar version, so I enjoyed that. Nice.
Oh, the spider bar.
Yeah, it's the
I
rogue one,
haven't-
but yeah.
I have not. Oh, okay, I got it. So yeah, okay, now I understand what you mean. But one of the gyms has that bar, and I have yet to pull it out because it's a little scary. But I
Lit.
really, really want to use it.
Fucking sweet.
Yeah,
You don't get
it
the
looks
swaying. That sucks dick with the Cambridge bar.
That's the best part. What do you mean? That's what.
Oh
you
my
want.
god, dude! You talk about something that if a kid doesn't understand when they do a Cambridge bar squat,
You throw some bands on a regular Cambridge bar for someone, good luck.
they're dead, dude. They're
Good
so
night.
dead. I always have young high school kids come in and they see my Cambridge bar and they're like, "What are we gonna? When do we get the?" And I'm like, "Probably never. Probably never."
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I don't want a lawsuit on my hands. I'm sorry. I just
I tell my guys that all the time. I think I've only ever had one of my athletes use the Cambridge bar ever.
yeah. I
'Cause
told
I'm just
him
like,
I was
you don't
like,
know.
you can't even get it out of the thing. Like it's 85 pounds. When you can get it out and you can actually set it up on the rack your own, then maybe one day. But that bar's a pain. Oh,
Even the non-safety one is 80 pounds, huh? Wow.
yeah, it's 85, I think.
85.
That's how heavy
Yeah,
the
it's
safety
85.
bar one is too.
Wow.
Are they the same? It's not heavier?
The Rogue one's 85 or 80.
It must be.
That's
Listen, I have the Titan one, and it's just a piece of steel. It's like
Dude,
you
that
could
That's the one that
one-
we have.
The
Yeah.
one I
Oh.
used at Misfit Strength down there in Houston, I don't know what brand it is, but the sides are like completely flat. So it's nice you can put your hands there. But this thing was robust as fuck.
Yeah.
Like, what are we doing with this thing?
I think that's what Titan did. Titan was just like, what piece of metal can we put on this? Like, let's just make this thing indestructible and the most like it's just a piece of pot. They sold it
Really
for
what
like
it is.
$200. I was like, yeah, I'm getting it. I'm done. Let's get it.
Tommy, what's your
Yeah,
least
no,
favorite bar to
it's-
use? Barbell?
Ooh. Barbell. Part of me wants to say barbell, actually. Yeah. Honestly, if I had to pick, I honestly don't really like have a least favorite, but if I had to pick, probably safety bar.
Really?
Just
Without the
'cause it's
handles
so
or with?
brutal. I have not done it without the handles.
What?
I know.
Get
I
on
know.
need to do that.
It's on my list. It's on my list of
Just
things
took mine
to
out.
do.
I moved on. Mine are unscrewed. I moved on.
You throw them away? Yeah, they don't fucking need handles.
No, I
Fuck
have
those
them
things.
still because if I want to sell them, I'm just gonna be like, here's the
No,
handles.
fuck that. Like, put me in
Um,
like, someone needs to make nub attachments to just screw into those spots.
The
That's what they need to do.
what is that? Bells of Steel has a brand that has like different handle attachments you can screw in.
Yeah,
And
I've seen that. I think,
They have one that's like a chain. It looks literally like a nunchuck. I'm like,
dude, that
what?
would be a motherfucker if you had to hold on to the chain.
Yeah.
Well, so that's what we had the gym, the other gym that I coach out of. They got one like gifted to them a while ago, and it looks just like that's how it should be. It's like got little nubs on the bottom of the pads, and it's got a hole where it looks like a carabiner should go in for like a chain attachment,
Yeah.
but nothing came with it.
Hmm.
And so it's basically, you basically have to use it no hands, but everybody avoids that one because it looks.
Oh, dude, it works so
Yeah.
fucking good without using your hands. You
Works
have to
better.
use
I
so
know,
much of your
that's
upper
what I've
back. It's
heard.
fucking amazing.
That's why I really want to try it, but
I like doing it on
Amazing.
speed days too, because kids learn how to press into the bar better when they do that too, instead of like letting the hands fold them over and then like unfolding
you can't
themselves.
accidentally turtle shell yourself.
Yeah,
Those
it
handles,
works.
everybody wants to turtle shell,
Works way better.
right? They go
Yeah.
and push, and it's like no. That's not what we're doing here, folks.
My argument to that would be that they don't really know how to use the safety bar, but that's what Anthony Oliveira does, right? Like that's where I first saw the no hand safety bar was from him, and I asked him about it. I messaged him on Instagram, like, dude, like, what's up with this? And so he like explained the whole thing, and so I have a couple guys that need to probably do it that way.
When we're
because
at
of the
Westside, did you see the
the
original
turtle
one?
shell. No.
Oh, they're nubs on the end. There is no handles.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Like,
if you go,
it's
go watch
fucked.
all their West Side. Like if you buy any of those like webinars that he did or whatever,
Yeah.
they have the. I mean, they're not.
Speaking of which,
grounded anymore.
their bow bar is the coolest shit ever. I got to use it. I checked that out while I was there. I want one of those.
Yeah.
That thing's worth $600.
The Matador one, the big one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one is
nutty.
cool. Yeah, the gym in Orange County that I coach out of has been trying to get one of those forever.
The thing is cool.
Made start a GoFundMe so they can afford it.
I know.
The California thing to do, right?
I was about to
It's
say
so-
that feels so wrong. Like I was like, someone
Not
said
out
that
there.
the
That's
other
like
day.
normal practice. I feel like.
Someone said that
Don't
the
have
other day.
something, just ask other people.
Oh God.
I mean,
It is very California-esque, I will say.
it's also kind of brilliant. Like
It is, but then I would feel
it's
like a piece of
suck
crap.
up your pride, I guess, and fucking.
No.
I mean,
But
is it any
the
different? I'm
difference,
on
though, is we have
Instagram all the time
conscience.
asking people to give me money. Like, just I
But-
want to
All right,
provide something
I'll-
in return.
I'll do a test run on it.
See, that's the thing, though, is that like when you ask for money, there's something that people are getting in return.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When those people ask for money, they're not giving it back,
Right.
Fair.
right?
I mean,
That's the difference.
I guess if everyone gets to use it, like it's here, you can use it. So it's
Right.
really like
you,
an
you could
investment.
totally scam your fucking members into chipping in, I'm sure.
No, I wouldn't do that to them. They're too good at people.
Hey,
Wouldn't-
any of Nathan's members that listen to this and you made it this far,
No.
started a collection pot
No.
like you have at church, so that once a
No.
week when you go in and you visit the gym, just
no.
throw in $5 and Nathan can keep getting new equipment all the time for you guys.
No.
What do you mean, no, dude? You're the biggest religious person I know, and they do it with no problem. Why do you have a problem with it? I don't get it.
They already dedicate more than just $5 a week to me. So no.
Yeah, I know, but this is the collection plate, dog. This is for fucking to keep the facility nice and to keep the community thriving.
I do want
The other
more.
money is to make sure you don't fucking die and that you can feed your kid. Different things.
I'm fine. I'm fine. I don't do that, people. No, I'm fine.
I'm gonna laugh so hard if you come back next week and you're like, motherfucker, they started a collection plate.
There's
I'm
just like
yes.
there's like an empty box down there, and I'm like, what the
Influence.
hell?
No, it's literally a
Donation
plate.
box at
Like
the
they
front.
brought in a fucking shitty
Oh.
old plate and they just put money on it.
Someone brings one of the yeah. That
Is
would
that not
be.
how it works in the church? I don't know. I've only seen it on The Simpsons.
It
so.
just depends on the church now. Now sometimes they have like little baggies. Now it's all over.
Do they always pass it out while the fucking dude's talking too, so that everyone has to be like, what do I do now?
Yes, 1000%.
It's probably just got a QR code in it now, so you can scan it for Venmo
Dude,
instead
you-
of
So
fucking.
yeah, everything's electronic now.
They
Yeah.
have like barcodes on the back of your chair now, so you can just.
I was gonna
scan-
say, is it the back of the pews? Everyone's got a fucking QR code in front of them. They're like, here's your
That's-
donation plate, and like they basically like strap your feet to the floor and until you pay the QR code, then you can leave.
They had to do that because of COVID, actually. So they had to get rid of the plate because they didn't want to.
Yeah, because that's the thing killing people.
Well, no, they were shutting churches down because of that.
I'm sure they
Yeah,
were, but that
it
was just
was-
because they're cunts. That had nothing to do
Oh, I
with
know.
what they were doing.
It was crazy though. But I mean, anyway. Wow, what a rabbit hole. How did we get here?
Yeah. what?
Dude, I can take a conversation anywhere. What are you talking about?
That was awesome.
Yeah, I think we're aware of that at least.
Yeah. Yeah, I will take it way off the deep end. It don't matter. How far you want to go?
Oh my god.
Tommy, we have this group chat. One day I educated everybody on fucking mushrooms and Christmas because nobody knows that Christmas comes from mushrooms, but
I've heard that actually. I have heard that.
Alex is very
Yeah.
good at just like derailing humans' existence. Like There's probably, I don't know, 25, 30 coaches in this chat, and they'll having a nice conversation and just going on and going on. Alex chimes in, boom, dead silent for like 30 minutes. No one says a
30
word.
minutes, like the rest of the fucking day. Nobody will even respond.
Alex
It's like
just
a mic drop, just like boom. I'm like, man, guys, I was just trying to contribute, and apparently not.
The kid that walks up to the lunch table and just slams your tray down. Everyone
I
just,
don't know.
It's pretty
Goes
cool.
quiet and stares.
Oh, it's crazy. Like they just stop. There's nothing.
Yeah, everyone will have an opinion, and then I ask a question or bring up a point, and then nobody's got one.
This guy again? Unbelievable.
I'm just like, what happened, guys? Like, what are we doing here? Like, all right, well, that's cool. Guess I'll just shut up and be a lurker.
Let's get Tommy in the chat. That way he can reply to you.
Love that.
Yeah.
I'll reply to you, Alex. I'll give you some love.
I fuck with Tommy. He'll do questions on his story. And then when he posts something, I just like to fuck with him and be like, well, what about this? And he's like, well, I'm like,
that's that weight question.
I know you're just being nice, Tommy. It's okay. You can tell me to fuck off. It's all right. Like, I'm a troll on purpose.
Shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
But see, I know that though, and that's what makes it more fun. Because then it ends up becoming a conversation anyway.
Right.
Like the get bigger one.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. Some of the times you get those questions and you're just like, what? Why? What are you
I don't get any fucking questions. I just get people creeping on me and telling me that they like me and won't tell me who they are.
Have you seen
That's
this,
what I
Tommy? Have you seen this from this guy?
No, well, this is new. Hold on.
This guy,
Yeah,
okay,
hold on.
this guy always does the not gonna lie link or anonymous link, so the people will
along with the regular ones because nobody wants to know who the fuck's telling me questions.
And I hate clicking on his stories when he does it because it's always going to be, I think you're cute. We should talk more often, or I know somebody that likes you, or we used to be friends. We don't talk anymore. And I'm just like, it's the same three people. It's the same three people.
Probably. Like, I wish they would reveal themselves. But
I know. Won't. God dang it. Yeah, Alex is like, yeah, maybe we could hang out, but I don't know who the hell you are. So.
What's going on here?
Pretty much.
Gosh, man, that's like straight up middle school right there.
Yes.
Jeez.
Well, I think when you're an asshole, people are scared to ask you questions.
Yeah, but if it's like that, sack up, man. You know?
Sack up,
yeah, that not gonna lie thing just
it's kind of entertaining, but at the same time, I'm like, yeah, this is cool, but I don't know who any of these people are. So thank you for the confidence boost for the 12 hours that I get out of this, but not helping me in my actual life.
Or maybe it is because you have the confidence boost.
Hey, you know what? That's a good point. I have been getting some pretty awesome new clients lately. So, maybe that's where it comes from.
Hey, there you go.
Possible.
It's pretty good. Nice.
Well, Tommy, anything else you want to go over here, buddy?
I don't
now
think
that we
so.
wasted 2 hours of your day.
I figured we were just coming on to, be irrelevant and talk about random stuff, which we accomplished that.
This guy gets it. This guy gets it.
I mean, you're more relevant than us. So you got the fucking team of people to coach. I got a fucking team of people I volunteered to coach, and they don't take any of the help. Like 30 of them. I got one person on board.
Every day is a different battle. It's just convincing somebody to pay you so you can yell at them and tell them what to do all the time is a real fine line between.
Don't even try to get these kids to pay me. I just try to get them to ask for help, and they won't even ask for help. It's like, okay.
Because you're big and scary and a dick.
I'll go with scary. I'm definitely not big though. And I'm probably a dick. Yeah, that's fair. But I made them clothes so they can make some money. Like fucking buy a t-shirt or something, you lazy pricks. Like I'm giving you guys the money back for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Good luck with all that.
Kids are
my
weird.
philanthropy work. I need to get Dion wearing one of these shirts. That's what I need to do. Be like, hey, Prime, wear one of these, please. Then
that would be solid.
Who are you?
I don't care. It doesn't matter. The ones with the buffalo on them are so fucking cool. It doesn't matter.
You just have to get into a game and just toss it at him, throw it.
I mean, I got to go to one of their summer practices and see him and Michael Irving cruising around. So that was pretty interesting.
That's pretty cool. Sure.
Yeah, it was fascinating.
Yeah. Fascinating.
It is. He just cruised around on a golf cart the whole
that's how
time.
you described it.
I mean, yeah, it's well, I knew the team sucked, so I was just like you could tell by how bad the offensive line was that it was not going to be a good year.
I mean, they just hyped up because it was him,
Yeah, dude, he's great at selling influence. He's fucking brilliant in that sense. business
They
wise,
had
that guy's got
sold
it
out
figured out.
games. Yeah,
All of them, yeah. They generated the city $113 million in revenue, allegedly.
that's crazy.
Incredible.
That is crazy.
None of it came to me, though.
Sheesh.
So I don't know. I don't really care. Good job, assholes.
Like, I'm part of the city. Why did I not receive?
Well,
like,
let's not go. I'm part of the county. Same
Oh,
county,
well, see, then
different
there
city.
you go. You need to be part of the city. That's your own fault.
Tommy, it would be like living where you are if I lived there. I don't think I could do it.
I don't recommend it at all, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and we get all the people that left there and bring that shit with them here. Like, thanks, guys. You could have left that behind. Yeah, they bring it
But
with them.
that's
great.
not what ex-Californians do. They go and they infect everywhere else with the wrong ideals.
Yeah, they're like a plague.
100%. Yeah, no, I agree. California might have had the most people leave, but good God, they're not changing anything for the better.
We don't love them here. That is for dang sure. We hate.
I don't blame you.
Missouri people. Not a fan of the California people.
Were you born and raised in California, Tommy? That's all you've
I
ever
was,
known?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Man,
Unfortunately, yeah.
if you need a getaway to come shoot some stuff or come, do anything, just come to Missouri. We'll put you up.
Yeah, we basically can't do any of that here.
Exactly.
That's all right. We can't even vote here, so don't feel bad.
I mean,
Yeah, I saw that. What the heck?
I saw that too. Yeah, what is
Trump's an insurgent now. Oh my gosh.
They're literally just trying to get him more votes. Apparently, they're fucking stupid.
That's
Wow.
That's all it's going to end up happening. Everybody's just going to go off the rails. I mean,
Like
every red.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Did they forget that you can write people in?
Like, yeah, it's literally a freedom to vote for whoever you want.
Allegedly, unless we're in a communist country, which
We kind of are already, but hey,
Yeah,
neither
definitely
here nor there.
trending in the wrong
Incredible.
direction.
I'm like,
I couldn't believe that fucking headline.
Colorado, way to go. And they're historically a red state, aren't they?
I wouldn't say historically.
They were last two
They
elections, weren't they?
historically make
No,
headlines,
they were
though.
blue.
Oh, were they
They've been
blue?
for a while? Yeah, Denver and Boulder fucks everything.
Freaking Denver. Get
Like,
them
we
out of
have-
here.
cities, man.
The whole eastern part of Colorado just wanted to succeed and be part of Wyoming.
That'd be awesome.
I was like, I don't blame you guys. Like, don't blame you at all.
No, heck no.
That's awesome. Oh boy. Well, Tommy, thank
Pretty
you.
good state to live in.
Thank you very much for coming on and give us your time, my man. We really appreciate it, even though it was a bunch of nonsense mostly.
Well, I mean, that's what I said when Alex, responded in my Q&A on Tuesday. I said I can be pretty irrelevant, so
Perfect.
I'm just trying to match the energy that you guys put off. And
You did a great job. You're the man. We appreciate
Next
you
time he
coming
comes
on.
on here, he'll have several national champion powerlifters to talk about.
Heck yeah. Can't wait to.
We've heard the trials and tribulations. Next time will be nothing but success stories.
That's the goal.
Then
Wait till
when we get
June.
Mark on here, we'll see if we can drag him through 2 hours of nonsense.
Oh yeah,
I'm sure.
That's easy.
Or maybe he can
He'll be-
school us on Olympic lifting.
we just got to get
that,
him
or he'll.
and Bird. Oh, different Mark. I thought you were talking about Deppin. I was like, oh, well, Mark
No.
can talk for 3 hours. No big deal.
Tommy's business partner, Mark.
Okay, I'm with you
No,
now.
my business
Mr.
partner,
Mark
Mark,
Acosta.
he does the weightlifting side of the bunker.
Gotcha.
And he's very philosophical. I'm sure that you guys could have some great discussions.
Oh, we could go deep then. That'd be a good time.
I'll just sit back and watch that day. Perfect.
What you need to post more than he does, though. I see his stuff all the time. We need to get like those mic'd up moments you have. Those are classic, bro. You need to post those more
trying.
regularly.
The one with your
Kinda
daughter.
like
The daughter is
trying
hilarious.
content out. Oh, you thank you.
That was awesome.
Yeah, she's fun to have around. I have a lot more content from that side of things too, so I'll post it.
Heck yeah, man.
There you go. How can people find you, Tommy, if they want to work with you?
Instagram is definitely the place. I know that I drag out my content and I only post like 3 times a week, but it's at Tommy Staup, TommyStaup is it. And then our website, thebunkerathletics.com, we have a application form on there too if you want coaching. And our Instagram.
Perfect.
At the Bunker Athletics. Yeah.
We'll link both. I'll link both.
They also have sweet patches that they have that you can put on your gear. So go ahead and get that. I had to go buy a new backpack because mine broke and I didn't want to sacrifice the patches that I had. So, got to keep representing.
Patches. We have shirts in too. So those are for sale. I know, Alex, you were talking about shirts earlier.
Yeah, dude, I'm trying to get I just got another affiliate sponsor. So I'm just going to keep plugging away on all kinds of bullshit. And I'm just going to be one big advertisement until I make enough money to not do it anymore.
I mean, that's what half of Instagram is, anyways. Might as well just run with the pack, right?
Yeah, I might just start the podcast by listing all my affiliate sponsors and be like, look, guys, we don't have real sponsors, so we need you to go use these things so we can get paid. Speaking of which, there's X Endurance, Flux Footwear, N1, Pioneer Belts, and I got a new supplement coming.
This guy, he's gonna be a walking billboard.
Yeah,
how was the
much.
episode today? Well, Alex talked about his sponsorships for 2 hours.
Dude, this new one that I got sounds pretty fucking crazy. I'll let you know when I actually get the product in, but
Ooh, I'm interested now.
Nice.
Sounds pretty legit. Or
Love
it's
it.
supposed to be super legit. I don't know.
Love it.
Definitely
Guess you'll find
not
out.
cheap, so we'll see.
Results matter. Here we go.
Some interesting protein sources. I'm gonna be eating horses, I think.
Interesting.
No, not horses. I'm just
To be continued.
it's a
Yeah,
collagen
way to
protein thing.
like be
Collagen
on
protein.
that
It's supposed to
one.
be the only legit collagen protein you can get.
Hmm.
Allegedly.
I'm interested.
I'll let you guys know. If
Yeah,
my
yeah,
skin and
let us
joints
know.
feel better, then I'll know it's real.
There you go.
That's all you can. Yeah, I like it.
Awesome. Well, Tommy, we'll get this. This will be uploaded pretty quick, and we'll send you a link and give you a shout out. Put your Instagram in the description below so people can find you, my man. Again, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. This was fun.
Yeah,
All right,
thanks,
man.
Tommy.
Enjoy your day.
All right, boys. You too.
See you, gentlemen.